Alrighty, Henry Ford and I are back here for part 3 of this review of the March 1967 Motor Trend. I wanted to continue on the specifications section here of the Motor Trend for the 3 of a Kind article, which compared the Galaxie, Impala, and the Sport Fury. I thought it was pretty interesting. Read some of what their reviews were. They have a section called At a Glance. And for the Galaxie, it says, one of the quietest, if not the quietest cars we've driven in any price class. Exhibits exceptional quality assembly, though some trim features show a tendency for premature wear. Stops, goes, and rides easily, but not without noticeable acceleration, squat, and deceleration dive. Instruments and controls grouped near driver, but ashtray is almost beyond average driver's reach. Easy to drive and especially easy to live with. So overall, the Ford got a pretty good review. The performance, I thought was interesting. Hit 0 to 60 in 9.2 seconds. Standing quarter mile, 17.4 seconds at 82 miles an hour. Let's see, stopping distances from 30 miles an hour, 36 feet, 60 miles an hour, 183 feet. It did feature an overhead valve V8, which it said was a 390 cubic inch. 315 horsepower at 4,600 RPM and 427 pound-feet of torque at 2,800 RPM. Compression ratio of 10.5 to 1 with a single 4-barrel Autolite carburetor. It did have a Cruise-O-Matic 3-speed auto. Final drive ratio is 275 to 1 in that car. It was pretty interesting. Dimensions, wheelbase of 119 inch, track 62 inch front and rear, overall length 213 with a width of 79 and a height of 54.7 inches. Trunk capacity 19.1 cubic feet, so a very large trunk, and it weighed in at 4243. So a fairly solid car. The prices are very interesting. Manufacturer suggested retail, let's see, was $2,754.68. Options, there was a $289 for $106. The $390 was $158 plus the $289 price. I'm not sure what that means. Cruise-O-Matic, $220. Front disc brakes, power, 97. Power steering was 94. AM radio, 57. Air conditioning, wow, $356. Power seat, 94. 4-speed transmission, 184. Heavy-duty suspension, 23. And power windows, $99. Now, here's the Chevy. The Impala at a glance, versatile performer on the track and quiet worker on short hops. Turbo-Hydromatic is the best thing that's happened to Chevy transmissions in ages. Absence of interior squeaks and rattles, a pleasant surprise. Best dash layout we've seen on a 67 car, with gauges so big they practically beg to be seen. Performance-wise, 0 to 60 in 9.1 seconds. So these cars are all, about the same. Let's see here. Quarter mile, 17 seconds at 83 miles an hour. Stopping from 30, 39.5 feet, 60, 158 feet. As we said before, it had a 396 in it, rated 325 horsepower, 410 pound-feet of torque, 10.25 to 1 compression ratio with a 4-barrel Rochester carburetor. It had the 3-speed Turbo-Hydromatic with a final drive ratio of 2.73 to 1. It's interesting, the mileage on these cars is all about the same. They range from about 11 to 15 miles per gallon. Let's see, and it weighed in at 4,340 pounds, so heavier than the Ford and a little heavier than the Plymouth Fury. Prices, base price was $3,003. The $396 was $158 option. Turbo-Hydromatic $226. Power front disc brakes $121. Power steering $94. Radio $57. Air conditioning, $356. So air conditioning backline was a big option. Power seat, 4-way buckets, $69. 4-speed transmission, $184. Heavy-duty suspension, $31. Adjustable steering, tilt only, $42. And power windows, $100. And then, of course, here's the Plymouth, which they said was smooth, predictable, and comfortable at any speed, minus annoying pitch and sway in corners. Performance equal to competitors' more consistent runner and acceleration times. Bucket seats not the easiest to take upon getting in car, but are easy to live with after a long spell behind wheel. Fit and finish quality, lacking on the interior, allowing wind noise and trim rattles to work away at drivers' nerves. It hit 0 to 60 in 9.6 seconds. Quarter mile, 17.4 seconds at 81 miles an hour. Stopping distances from 30 or 38.5, 60, 189.5. Like we said, that had the 383, hit 325 horsepower. Torque was 425 pound-feet of torque, 2800 RPM, 10 to 1 compression with a 4-barrel Carter carburetor on there. Did have the TorqueFlite 8 3-speed automatic transmission with a final drive ratio of 3.23 to 1. Let's see. Some of the dimensions again, 119-inch wheelbase. These cars are very comparable size-wise. It did weigh in at 4,319 pounds. The base price here was $3,062. That came with 318. 383 was $120, $119.55 extra. TorqueFlite 216. Power front disc 111. Power steering 94. AM radio 338. Air conditioning 90. Power seat, which was a 6-way bucket, was 90. Air conditioning, I'm sorry, was 338. I don't know if I put that on there right. Let's see. 4-speed transmission, 188. Heavy-duty suspension, 22. Adjustable steering wheel, 91. And power windows, $100. So, very interesting to look at the option packages back then. And it would have been cool to get one of those cars. Very basic. And you could do that. You could just get the performance engine and the stick shift. That's very cool. So, let's see. They also have an interesting article entitled Rum Running, Basic Training for Stockers. It's kind of interesting. A very neat advertisement once again. I'm not a fan of front-wheel drive, but that is a car I like. It's one of the Eldorados there. Very, very cool. Very cool car. And a cool ad. That's just a sharp-looking car. Wow. That's a Cadillac. Go on here. This is interesting. They have an Opel ad here. I'm not really too sure. I guess they sold these at Buick dealers. That's my understanding of it. Here they show some of the economy cars of the time: the Volkswagen, a Renault, an MG, a Datsun, and a Fiat. It amazes me that anyone would want any of these cars when they look at the cars from Detroit, but whatever. Who knows? Some people only care about gas mileage, I guess. Which is interesting. We'll go to the most interesting of them all. Volkswagen 1500. I just thought the specs were just neat. Base price, $1,717. It had a horizontally opposed 4-cylinder, 91 cubic inch. Made 53 horsepower, so definitely wasn't fast. But it only weighed in at almost 1,900 pounds, 1,880. Hit 0 to 60 in 20.6 seconds. Mileage, they call it hard mountain driving, 28.5 mileage, expressway cruising, 30.7, and city traffic, 28.1. That's just interesting to look at a vehicle that is very similar to what was designed in the 30s by Mr. Porsche for Adolf Hitler. That's very interesting. Here, this is a very, very cool ad. The RT right here, Dodge. Oh, wow, that is cool. Talks about the 440 Magnum, 375 horsepower, 480 pound-feet of torque. Talks about the Hemi. Wow, that is just a cool ad. That's a cool ad. A cool car. Wow. Incredible. Incredible. Move on from there. Here they have a pretty neat article on the Jeepster, which I'm not going to go into in depth on. You can read about them online, but it's just neat to see it here. Like I said, a pretty cool vehicle. This is neat. They talk about different braking system, and it just gives you kind of the basics of how brakes work. Pretty neat. An interesting article. This is a neat article as well, the $1 billion smog hoax, which is very interesting. I won't go into it. It's a long article, but I'll just read the basic up here at the top. This is interesting. It says, smog is a reality. Autos shoulder most of the blame. The public has to pay the bits and pieces, but will smog still be with us in 1980? Just an interesting article. Shows all the equipment, they wanted to place on the cars, and wow. Very interesting. Once again, the government meddling in everything. I'm not sure that it's improved the situation, but nevertheless, it is what it is. I'm going to go ahead and transition here into the next segment of the video review of the Motor Trend from 1967.